Welcome to today's episode of Cess Talk Sports and BY's Poly Sports. I'm your favorite auntie with Uncle 10 this season, your host Cess, and joining me is my amazing co-host Political Lil. Today we're diving into the electrifying story of Sha'Carri Richardson, a true disruptor in the world of track and field.
That's right, Seth. Kyrie journey is more than just about running fast. It's about breaking barriers, rewriting narratives, and standing tall against a system that hasn't always been fair to athletes like her. She's unapologetic, fearless, and has become a symbol of resilience and individuality.
From a meteoric rise to fame to facing systemic barriers and media scrutiny, Sha'Carri's story has captivated the world. And let's not forget, her ultimate triumphs have shown us all what it means to never count someone out.
In this episode, we'll explore Shikari disrupted norms, not just in athletics, but in the media and societal expectations as well. We'll also examine the challenges she's faced, including systemic racism, gender double standards, and media bias, and how she navigated all of that with grace and power.
Our goal today is to celebrate Sha'Carri's resilience, unpack the deeper issues her story brings to light, and show how her journey is inspiring a new generation of athletes. So buckle up, this is going to be a powerful conversation.
Absolutely, Seth. Shakari isn't just a runner, she's a movement. Let's get into it.
In this segment, we're diving into the early life and rise of Sha'Carri Richardson, a journey that began in Dallas, Texas.
That's right, Seth. Shakiri grew up in Dallas, where her love for running first took root. It was clear from an early age that she was special. Her speed, determination set her apart. But it was her family, especially her grandmother, who played a huge role in shaping her resilience.
Exactly. Sha'Carri often credits her grandmother as her rock, someone who not only supported her dreams, but also instilled in her the confidence and strength to face life's challenges head on. That foundation became crucial as she navigated the highs and lows of her career.
Her resilience was on full display during her breakout moment at the 2019 NCAA Division One championship. Competing from LSU, Shakari didn't just win; she made history.
Oh, she definitely did. Lil, Sha'Carri shattered the 100-meter collegiate record with a blazing time of 10.75 seconds. That performance didn't just put her on the map, it announced to the world that a star had arrived.
And it wasn't just the time, Seth. It was the way she carried herself, the confidence, the unapologetic flair, the bold hair, nails, and personality. She wasn't just a fast runner, she was a force of nature.
Absolutely. Sha'Carri's 2019 performance established her as a rising star, but it also set the stage for what was to come, the challenges, the controversies, and the ultimate triumphs. But at her core, she remained the same unapologetic and determined athlete from Dallas.
Her early life and breakout moment were just the beginning of the story that continues to inspire. Says what I love about this chapter of her life is how it reminds us that greatness often starts with an unwavering support of family and a belief in one's potential.
I couldn't agree more, Lil. Next, we'll explore how Sha'Carri faced and overcame systemic barriers while navigating the intense scrutiny of the media. Stay tuned. We've talked about Sha'Carri Richardson's early life and meteoric rise to fame, but now it's time to dive into the challenges and controversies that have shaped her story.
That's right, Seth. From the one defining moments in Shakari's career was her qualifying for the 2020 Olympics. She tested positive for THC, leading to a suspension that kept her from competing on the world's biggest stage. It was a moment that sparked a firestorm of public and media debate.
Absolutely. While many sympathized with her after she explained that she used marijuana to cope with the loss of her mother, the backlash she faced was staggering. It brought up important questions about the enforcement of drug policies and the double standards and how these policies are applied.
Exactly, Seth. We saw comparisons to other athletes, some who received lighter consequences for similar, even more serious infractions. Let's not forget the history of drug policy being weaponized against athletes of color, especially black women. The comparisons were unavoidable. Take Michael Phelps, for example, a white athlete who faced public scrutiny for a photo of him using a bomb, but ultimately he received far less, far more leniency and public sympathy. He didn't face a suspension during the competitive competition period, and the narrative around him focused on his redemption and mental health. Meanwhile, Shakari's situation was treated as a moral failure in the media, despite her transparency about coping with the devastating loss of her mother. And it's not just about this one incident. There's a long history of drug policies being weaponized against athletes of color. Think back to Florence Griffin Joyner, whose achievements were overshadowed by baseless accusation of drug use simply because her dominance and physicality, or the ban on soul cap swim caps, which catered to natural black hair textures under the guise of maintaining uniformity. It's clear that these policies aren't always about fairness. They're about maintaining control over who gets to succeed and on whose terms. For black women, it's often a double bind. They're judged harshly for even minor infractions, while white athlete counterparts are given the benefit of the doubt. And the stigma attached to these incidents lasts far longer, shaping how they're remembered in sports history.
And the media coverage of Sha'Carri's suspension was telling. She was often portrayed as reckless or undisciplined, a narrative we don't see applied to white athletes in similar situations. That's where gender, racism, and media bias come into play.
It's the same old story, says. Black women are held to a higher standard. They're criticized more harshly, and their mistakes are magnified. Meanwhile, their white counterparts often get the benefit of the doubt and even sympathy.
And this isn't just about Sha'Carri. It's a systemic issue that reflects the broader societal barriers faced by black women in sports. They're expected to be perfect, and when they're not, the consequences are far harsher.
Sha'Carri's situation exposed these double standards in real time, and it was a wake up call for many. It also highlighted how the intersection of race and gender shapes the experiences of black women in sport. But despite all the negativity, she never stopped being herself.
That's what makes her a disruptor, Lil. Sha'Carri refused to let the system define her. Instead, she took control of her narrative, faced the music, and kept pushing forward. When the world tried to reduce her to just a headline, Olympic hopeful suspended for marijuana use, Sha'Carri reclaimed her story. She didn't shy away from the controversy or try to make excuses. Instead, she openly acknowledged her actions, explained the emotional toll of losing her mother, and showed vulnerability in a way that most athletes are afraid to do. That transparency made her relatable to so many people, especially young black women who could see themselves in her struggles. And then, instead of letting that moment define her career, she shifted the focus back to what she does best, running. After serving her suspension, she returned to the track with the same bold confidence she always had. She stayed true to herself, unapologetically rocking her signature colorful hair, long nails, and defiant attitude, sending a message that she wouldn't let anyone dim her light. Even when she faced criticism for her performances during her comeback, she didn't retreat. She kept working, training, and staying present on social media, where she directly engages with fans and detractors alike. By speaking out about mental health, systemic racism, and the double standards she faced, she has used her platform to start important conversations and show that athletes are more than their wins or losses. Her ultimate triumph came when she won the 100 meters at the 2023 World Championships. In that moment, she didn't just win a race, she silenced the critics, proving that she was more than capable of rising above the adversity. That victory was a statement. No matter what the world throws at her, Sha'Carri is always going to bet on herself. And let's not forget how she has used her style, her words, and her resilience to inspire a new generation of athletes who understand that success doesn't mean conforming to outdated expectations. She's rewriting the playbook for what it means to be a champion in every sense of the word.
And that's resilience is what we're here to celebrate. Coming up, we'll look at how Shakari overcame these challenges to reclaim her place in track and field and in the hearts of her fans. Stay tuned.
We talked about Sha'Carri Richardson's early life, her challenges, and the controversy she's faced. Now it's time to dive into her comeback, an inspiring chapter that solidified her legacy as one of the greatest sprinters of her generation.
Says her story of redemption begins at the 2023 World Athletic Championship. When Shakari stepped onto the track for the 100 meters, all eyes were on her. After everything she had been through, the suspension, the media scrutiny, the doubters, she not only competed, but she dominated. Winning gold and becoming the fastest woman in the world was the ultimate statement.
It was such a powerful moment, Lil. Her time of 10.65 seconds not only secured her victory, but also reminded the world of her raw talent. That win wasn't just about speed, it was about resilience. It sent a message to the global community that no matter how many times life tries to knock you down, you can always rise again.
And she didn't stop there. Her performance at the 2024 Olympics was the culmination of all her hard work and determination. Qualifying for the games was an accomplishment in and of itself. Sha'Carri Richardson won the silver medal in the women's 100 meter and a gold medal in the women's 4x100 meter relay at the 2024 Paris Olympics. That was history in the making.
What stood out to me, Lil, was how she carried herself through it all. She celebrated her victories with grace, but didn't shy away from acknowledging the challenges she faced to get there. Those medals weren't just for her, they were for every person who's ever been counted out, who's ever been told they don't belong.
Exactly, says. By securing her place in history, Shikari proved that she's more than just an athlete. She's a symbol of resilience and defiance against the odds. She took every setback, every criticism, and turned it into fuel for her comeback.
Her story is one for the ages and is still being written. With her triumphs at the World Championships and the Olympics, Sha'Carri Richardson has cemented herself not only as a world class sprinter, but as a beacon of hope and determination. And for that, she's not just a disruptor, she's a legend in the making.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Seth. Coming up, we'll explore Shikari's lasting impact on the sport and how she's inspiring the next generation of athletes to break barriers and own their narrative. Don't go anywhere.
We walked through Sha'Carri Richardson's journey, from her rise to fame, the challenges she faced, to her incredible comeback. Now let's talk about what makes her more than just an athlete. Let's talk about Sha'Carri as a cultural icon.
Says what sets Shakari apart is her unapologetic authenticity. From the moment she stepped onto the track, she defied every stereotype. The brightly colored hair, the long nails, the fierce confidence. It all screamed, I'm here and I'm not changing for anyone. That level of self-assurance is revolutionary, especially for a young black woman in sport. That's historically demanded conformity.
Absolutely, Lil. She represents a new era of athletes who are redefining what it means to be a champion. It's no longer just about medals or records, it's about individuality and being true to yourself. Sha'Carri's bold fashion and vibrant personality challenge the traditional image of what an athlete should look like. And that's not just liberating for her, it's empowering for anyone watching her, especially young black girls.
Her impact on representation is undeniable. Shakari isn't just running for herself. She's running for every young athlete who's been told they don't fit the mold. By being her authentic self, she's showing them that they don't have to compromise their identity to succeed. That's a powerful message, especially in a world that so often tries to shrink black women or make them palatable for mainstream audiences.
And it's not just and it's not just her look or her personality, it's her voice. Shakari isn't afraid to speak out on issues that matter, whether it's mental health, inclusivity, or fairness in sports. Take her corporate partnership with Nike, for example. She's not just endorsing a brand, she's using that platform to advocate for change.
Exactly, says Nike recognized her star power and her influence, but they also embraced her as a symbol of resilience and authenticity. Through the partnership, she's been able to amplify conversations around mental health, something she's been open about since her suspension. She's breaking the stigma, showing that vulnerability and strength can coexist. And that's inspiring for so many young people.
And let's not forget her emphasis on inclusivity. Shakari isn't just running for herself, she's running to open doors for others. By standing tall in her truth, she's encouraging other athletes to do the same. She's part of a movement that's shifting the culture of sports to be more accepting, more diverse, and more equitable.
It's clear that Sha'Carri Richardson isn't just an athlete, she's a movement. Her influence extends far beyond the track, and her legacy will be about more than just her victory. She's inspiring a generation to embrace their individuality, break barriers, and rewrite the rules.
Couldn't agree more, Lil. Coming up, we'll discuss the broader impact of Shakari's legacy and what it means to the future of sports and representation. You won't want to miss it. So far, we've explored Sha'Carri Richardson's journey as an athlete and cultural icon. But her story is about more than her individual achievements. It's about the broader impact she's having on sports and society. Let's dive into the systemic inequality she's challenged and the narrative she's reshaped.
Says one of the most significant aspects of Sha'Carri's story is how she disrupted the systemic inequalities in sports. Her case highlighted the racial and gender disparities and how athletes are treated, particularly when it comes to enforcement of drug policy. Think about the public outcry when she was suspended for THC use, something that's legal in so many places now. Meanwhile, other athletes, often white or male, have faced fewer consequences for similar or even more serious violations.
That's a key point, Lil. Her suspension wasn't just about the rules, it exposed how those rules are applied inconsistently, often to the detriment of black athletes and women. Sha'Carri used her platform to shine a light on these disparities, forcing sports organizations and fans alike to reckon with the inequities baked into the system.
And let's not forget the role of the media in all this. The way her suspension was covered versus how similar cases involving white males were reported shows the media's bias in shaping public perception. Sha'Carri was painted as reckless and undisciplined, while others were framed as victims of unfortunate circumstances. This double standard isn't new, but she made it impossible to ignore.
Exactly, Lil. And what's powerful is how Sha'Carri took control of her own narrative. She didn't let the media define her. Through her social media platforms, interviews, and even her post race celebrations, she told her story on her terms. That's a game changer for athletes in this digital age.
It really is, Seth. By calling out these biases and advocating for change, Shakari has become more than just an athlete. She's a voice for equity and accountability in sport. She's showing that athletes aren't just competitors. They're people with real lives, real struggles, and real power to influence systemic change.
And that influence extends beyond the track. Sha'Carri's story is inspiring other athletes to speak out, to challenge unfair practices, and to demand better treatment. She's part of a larger movement to disrupt the status quo and push for a more inclusive and fair athletic community.
Her legacy is more than about her speed and her medals. It's about the courage to confront injustices and her determination to create better future for those who come after her. That's what makes her a true disruptor.
Well said, Lil. Coming up, we'll wrap up this episode by discussing what Sha'Carri's journey means for the next generation of athletes and what we can all learn from her resilience and determination. We walked through Sha'Carri Richardson's rise to fame, the challenges she's overcome, and the cultural shift she sparked in athletics. But as we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on the key lessons we can all learn from her incredible journey.
Absolutely, Seth. One of the biggest lessons from Shakari's story is the power of resilience. She faced setbacks that would have broken many people. Everything from the loss of her biological mother to the public scrutiny after her Olympic disqualification. But instead of letting those challenges define her, she used them as fuel to push her herself even further. She came back stronger, faster, and more determined. And that's the essence of true resilience.
Right, Lil. Sha'Carri's redemption story is about more than just coming back to race. It's about her ability to grow from her experiences and use those lessons to shape her future. She didn't let a moment of failure define her career or her legacy. She redefined what success looks like on her own terms.
And that brings us to the second lesson, challenging the status quo. Shakari refused to conform to the traditional expectation of athletes, especially women of color. In a sport that often demands silence, humility, and conformity, she boldly expressed her individuality through her style, her voice, and her unapologetic. She showed us that you don't have to shrink yourself to fit into somebody else's mold.
Exactly, Lil. And that's what makes Sha'Carri so revolutionary. She's showing athletes everywhere that they don't have to apologize for who they are or the way they express themselves. Her refusal to conform has created a space where others can follow suit, where athletes can be themselves and still achieve greatness.
And it's not just about personal success. Shakari's platform is powerful, and she's using it to empower others. She's inspiring young athletes, especially black women, to take control of their own narrative, break barriers, and chase their dreams without apology. She's showing us that success isn't just about medal or record. It's about you carrying yourself and the impact you have on the world around you.
Facts, Lil. Sha'Carri's journey is a masterclass in overcoming adversity, challenging the norms and uplifting others along the way. She's proven that true success is about resilience, redefining what it means to win, and using your platform to make a difference.
That's right. Shikari is more than just a track star. She's a cultural force, a disruptor, and a symbol of what's possible when you refuse to let the system or anyone else hold you back.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. Sha'Carri Richardson's story is a powerful reminder that no matter what obstacles you face, you have the power to redefine your own success. And remember, sports are never just about the game, it's about the stories we tell and the change we create. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Cess Talk Sports and Be Wise Poly Sports. It's your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies and Political Lil. Until next time, stay tuned. Talk soon. We out.